Hello and welcome to Tiny Table Talk for The Challenge, Season 37, Spies, Lies, and Allies, Episode 9. And before we get into everything that I have planned for this video, let's hear a word from today's sponsors. Do you have muscles? If you do, you probably had a muscle or two sore. I know I have. I normally get it from working out or sitting at my computer for far too long. That's when I like to reach to the Charles Warren All-Natural Sweet Ginger Vapor Rub. It is made with 6 all-natural oils and butters. And did I mention that the packaging is biodegradable? Another product I love to use is the Coconut Milk and Oats Body and Foot Powder. It's talc-free, baking soda-free, and cornstarch-free, all while keeping my feet sweat-free, and it smells like fresh coconut cake. And right now, if you go to charleswarrenpresents.com and use my promo code at checkout, you can get a discount. All the information and a link is down in the description below. Thank you so much to Charles Warren Presents for sponsoring this video, and now on to Tiny Table Talk. Now, there was so much going on in this past week's episode. We had everybody scheming, trying to save their own butts, a good daily challenge, a good elimination, ending on a cliffhanger on possibly what's to come next. I thought the best way to get through everything that happened in this episode and what's going to possibly happen in the near future is taking a ton of your comments from my Thursday's review and recaps. I can reply to them. I can give my own theories on what possibly could happen in the future while also getting to hear what everyone else has to say about it as well. So without further ado, let's start off with comment number 1 from Krista, who says, Episode 9, the true episode 1 of the season. Let the real strategy begin. It took us a long time to get here, but I'm so happy we finally got to this point. This episode was awesome. It was the best of the season by far, and I hope we can keep this level of energy throughout the rest of this season. The next comment comes from Marta, who says, this challenge felt like old times. I like that the episode gave us more than 5 minutes of the daily challenge and less of the house drama. Yes, 100%. I was so excited that we had so much of this daily challenge, especially with a daily challenge that was so physical, that was strategical, and it was just really good overall. CT was right that what Ashley did to Hunter was more than 3 or 4 seasons ago, and it's not really relevant anymore. Also, it's going to be either all new partners or individual form from now on. I think that it is sort of unfair that everybody keeps on bringing up that Ashley stole the money. It was $1 million. It happened in season 32, and I do think that people need to keep that in mind because we held on to Bananas taking the whole $275,000 from Sarah, and now we have $1 million happening in the 30s. So we're still not out of the 30s yet. So we're still in the 30s. It's still kind of recent, but I do think that it is unfair that it keeps on getting pushed onto Ashley, and she really hasn't done too much after that to where people can really pinpoint. So I understand where they're coming from, but I could see both sides of the coin, and it's really easy to throw that on her when you're trying to keep yourself safe. And I think that's what mainly Corey was trying to do, is keep himself safe in the game by putting that back onto Ashley and hoping that maybe the rookies would try to vote Ashley in instead. Comment number 3, best part of the episode, Corey hitting Josh hard into the mud. That was a hard hit. Corey used his football moves to really take down Josh, and it was effective. I Got New Hope says, it was irking me hearing TJ call it bombs. Like, no, TJ, we can see that they're volleyballs, LOL. It feels like when you play imagination games in elementary school. I hate that. It was clearly balls. I wish they would just call them balls, because everything doesn't have to be a bomb. Everything doesn't have to fit into the theme just right. Everything doesn't have to be called a detonation station. I like that it rhymes as well, but you don't need it. The next comment comes from Baby Ice. CT must not know about Devin's side plan of getting rid of past champions. He may be in for a surprise soon. I think that would be surprising, but right now, Devin needs all the numbers he can get, and CT is fully in his alliance, and I don't know when he would take a shot at CT, and would it be effective? You have to take it sooner rather than later, in my opinion, and if he needs all the numbers he can get, he might not take it until maybe it's possibly too late. I mean, we're getting down to the wire here. Claudia P89 comes in with a comment saying, I just don't understand why guy vets like Corey try so hard to get rid of Ashley. If they have to work in pairs at the end, wouldn't you rather keep a woman that has won before? I totally understand where you're coming from, and Corey and Ashley go way back. They go back all the way to their original Real World season, and even last season in Double Agents, Corey wanted to be partnered up with Ashley because she is good at puzzles, and they made a fantastic team. In that mini final with the Smuggle Run, they came in second place, almost getting first place, but I think it's dependent in the context of this season is why he went after Ashley. If we remember his notes and everybody he said who was on an alliance with each other, when taking a look at the vet rookie pairings who were possibly going to be the house vote or were up to be the house vote because no vet teams were going to be the house vote, we can see that CT and Emmy, they're completely in Devin's crew. You had Emmanuel and Casey completely in the Big Brother crew. Logan and Nani, Big Brother. Josh and Priscilla, Big Brother. Jeremiah and Tori in Devin's crew. Well, Tori was because Jeremiah is with TYB with Corey and Nelson. So really that left Corey and Bettina and then Ed and Ashley, as Corey had in his notes that Ashley was an unknown. And when taking more look into Corey's notes, he had Ashley, Amanda, and Amber in the unknown category. But both Amanda and Amber are in vet teams. So that only really left Ashley to throw all the shade on to possibly put the target on their back to be the house vote. So I think when going into that deliberation, that's the only move that Corey felt that he could make without really trying to piss off everybody in the house. He was just trying to keep himself safe along with all of his numbers. And if he had to throw Ashley under the bus, that's what he was going to do to keep himself safe in the game. I think if Corey had a shot to run the finals with Ashley, he would do it in a heartbeat. But in the context of the season and his notes, he had to make a move, and that's the best move he thought he could make at this time. Kenneth comes in with a comment saying, this episode showed a divide that hasn't been tackled in the game. Those secret votes exposed it even more. It was hard to ignore it. I saw the divide as well, and it was pretty shocking, and it left me head scratching a little bit because we saw the division of the groups where we see before heading into the nomination ceremony, we have Corey, Nelson, Big T, and Priscilla in the room talking about how to push the vote onto Ashley and Ed in the nomination in the chamber. And then we go straight to outside to another alliance, which is Devin, CT, Tori, and Kyle. And then Ashley joins them. And then hearing the notes from before, Corey was like, we have Jeremiah on our side as well. And then we see that Ed was on Devin's side. To even take it a step further, we see that the Big Brother group is Nani, Josh, Casey, and then Logan with Emmanuel tied to them as well. So there could be 3 different alliances in the game. I don't know. It's very weird to see in a game like the Challenge where there has been so much representation being brought into the game as of late, but then seeing how the house has been divided. Charm Life 1990 says the fact that both men and women are working so hard to get out Amber and Ashley, yet to continue to allow CT to just coast on by speaks wonders. This would have been a great elimination to throw CT in with a woman with no arm or leg strength. Chances are good they never would have been able to cross the beam. 100%. This would have been one of the best times to take a shot at 2 really strong competitors or take a shot at CT. When taking a look at the elimination, you can be like, I don't know what this could be before TJ even announces or says the rules, but that's the risk you got to take. This could have been one of those lucky shots where you could have gotten him out after only 1 shot. So I think that this could have been a big missed opportunity, but maybe they could take another shot later down and we could have another like crapshoot elimination. And on top of that, if we are going to a solo game where they're going to alternate between men and women's eliminations, you're only going to have so many shots to take from here on out. And so you got to make them count. And if you don't take a shot sooner, you're just going to be crossing your fingers and praying if you throw CT in. Nune comes in with a comment saying, Bettina saved that elimination for Corey. She switched the strategy and she figured out the puzzle. Bettina killed it this episode. Bettina killed it this episode. I talked a lot about Corey, loving him in this episode. He stirred up a lot of drama. But when it came down to brass tacks, Bettina got it done and she did a great job. Big shout out to her. She killed it. Clarice says, I really like this elimination week. My opinion for next week is a purge. Now, at the end of my Thursday's review and recap, I talked about my theory about possibly it being a solo game, and then I asked everybody, what did you think was going to happen? Do you think that there was going to be a reset? Do you think it's going to be solo games? Give me any and all of your theories. So from here on out with these comments, we're going to be getting into some of your theories about what could possibly be happening in the near future for the seasons and what the format could look like. So for Clarice, she brings up that maybe there's going to be a Purge next week, which possibly, maybe there could be. That would be very interesting. For the preview of next week, it does look like the daily mission looks to be in solos, like people are doing their own thing by themselves, which could be very interesting and could set up well for a Purge. Brendo, on the other hand, says 100% solo game from now on, in my opinion, and what a great episode to finally kick off the season. I completely agree. This was my favorite episode. It had everything. I was thoroughly enjoying this episode and entertained from beginning to end, and I do think that they are setting up for a solo game. MM83 also enjoyed this episode. I wonder if they will switch to a solo game now, which does not bode well for the rookies. That's the one thing that I am worried about if we are going into a solo game. If we are going into a solo game, maybe it will be more of a free agents format where all the missions will be random in whether they'll be run in solo, pairs, or teams, and that will make up the agency. And if that is the case, maybe that will help out the rookies be able to win into the agency a little bit more often. But then again, with how the elimination is formatted, where you can pick anybody, and now it could be a solo game and everybody out for themselves, that could be really bad, to where the vet truce could just be like, hey, remember that one week that we kind of went after each other? Let's put that all under the bridge and go back to the rookies going in. And as the vets, I could see them trying to pull that off, which, I don't know. I really don't want to see that happen again. That's the only thing I'm worried about with going to a solo game. I love solo games the most in challenges, but with how strong the vets truce was, and we just got this spicy episode, I would hate for them to just default back to throwing in rookies over and over again. JRed657 says, the idea that this season goes to a solo season just as the rookies finally have some kind of foothold is just so disappointing, in my opinion. You never know, maybe that after this episode there's a lot more shaken up than we thought there was, and the divisions could have gotten bigger in the game. But also, it's only been one episode, and I could easily see them just defaulting back. I really hope not, because Logan was showing some really strong strategy here. Emmanuel is doing well. Emmy was getting in good with everybody. I really want to see the vets start to go after each other and really see the strategy keep on escalating. We finally got to this point in episode 9 to get the game spicy. I do not want to see them revert back. Next comment comes from Nick, who says, if it's about to be a solo game, I wonder if the vet's truce will still be in effect, or will Corey roll with the rookies and try to go for the people who did him wrong? In my opinion, I think Corey would go right back to the vet truce, especially knowing that he was the house vote this past episode, but he's not going to forget everybody who just threw him in under the bus. And he knows who he can trust. He knows who he wants to go after. And I think he would take on with the vet truce, but he would want to get his revenge. Next comment comes from MP, who says, I think next week might be a reset where they all compete to choose new partners like first episode. I don't think they will make them compete individually. I think that this is the second best option, right? Is them going in, we're hitting the halfway mark of the season. Maybe this is the point where they're like, hey, you're gonna compete like in the first episode, then you will be able to choose new partners, and maybe they will stay with those partners for the rest. Maybe that they will lock these players in now that everybody's had a chance to see what everybody can do in the missions, in the eliminations, get to know them in the house. Maybe this is the point where we're gonna reset the teams, come back together, make new teams, and then this is where we're locked in. You can't change teams after this. This is what you're going to have to be doing from here on out. I think that would be very interesting. I think that would almost be more interesting than making them compete in a solo format. Caleb comes in with a comment saying, back-to-back awesome daily challenges. Yes, I love this week's challenge especially. If only the editing was better. So tired of knowing who is going in every elimination prior to the votes based off of airtime. Also, I think with the trailer we got for next week, the next daily will determine new teams. So Caleb is in agreement with MP that they will be making new teams, and I thought it was very interesting that Logan basically said how the elimination was going to go 45 minutes into this episode. Again, halfway through this episode, Logan says who he wants to send into the elimination, who he wants the house vote to be, and that's what came to fruition. I did like the deliberation. I like that there were people who were trying to save themselves and doing as much as they can to do it because they knew their butts were on the line. But it's one of those things where the foreshadowing was thick. The subtlety is not there. We know who's going in and who is going up against who so early on in this episode. It's like, please just maybe keep your cards close to your chest, MTV, as much as you can, because with an hour and a half episode, maybe try to keep some tension there. And I know it's difficult, but try to keep some tension there. And the final comment comes from Jake, who says, as per the preview showed at the end of the Aftermath, I feel this will become more like when in War of the Worlds 1, they broke the teams up. I feel like that twist was not well received and slowed the season down a bit. Players like Nani, who were playing a phenomenal game, were screwed by this twist, so I'm interested to see if there are certain vets that this twist will hurt, or if this means eliminations will go back to only rookies. I think it's going to be interesting to see, nonetheless, if they go to a solo game. What will the vets do? Will they just go back to throwing in only rookies? Will rookies now have a foothold because they have gotten in good with their vet partners or have been able to switch up partners to somebody that they actually like and want to work with? Will social standings in the game hold stronger than, say, vet lines and rookie lines? I think that's an interesting way to see in a solo game, but also it is nerve-wracking to be like, what if we do go to a solo game and all the vets are just like, all right, back into the rookies going in first and the vets truce is back on. That's what I'm worried about, because I feel like that's what the vets could lean into more. And with, say, Priscilla and Bettina, who have made moves and won recent eliminations and have a bit of targets on their back now and not as many social standings in the game as, say, some of the vets, could they just be thrown in one after another because, oh, we don't know them as well? That's what I'm worried about, because I don't want to see that happen. I don't want to see the rookies keep on going in, because I think the rookies that we have left in this game are phenomenal, and I want to see the vets fight for their lives. I don't want to see them just coast until they have to go after each other, because this episode was phenomenal, and I don't want to revert back to what we've gotten to earlier on in the season, but we're going to have to wait and see what's going to happen. What do you think is going to happen? Let me know that in the comment section below. What are you excited to see as we head further on into the season, into the back half of the season? What do you want to see most of all? And who at this point, since we're halfway through the season, we've gotten to know all the rookies, how everybody is playing this game. Who are you rooting for? Who are you rooting against? Let me know that in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. While you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be back really, really soon with more Challenge 37 content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.